Wyrd Sisters by Terry Pratchett. Come closer, settle in. This is a witch's story, and in Lanka the land has opinions about kings, crowns, and people who murder their way onto a throne. The hills keep score. The stones remember. And 3 women who know the difference between what looks like justice and what actually is. When the king is murdered, tragedy is supposed to settle over the kingdom like bad weather. Granny Weatherwax does not do tragedy. She does lunch, then justice, in that order if possible and the other way round if required. She has a stare that can tidy a room and a sense of rightness sharp enough to cut through royal excuses. Beside her stands Nanny Ogg, who has a flask, a grin, and more grandchildren than the censors can count. Nanny believes most problems improve after a song, a sandwich, or both. And Magrat garlic, who believes in crystals, good intentions, and the worrying idea that magic should sometimes be nice. Magrat is learning that nice is optional. Necessary is not. 3 witches. 1 kingdom. A baby heir who needs somewhere safer than a castle full of daggers and polite smiles. They hide him with a travelling theatre, because on the disc the safest place for a prince is often among people who pretend for a living. Actors understand masks. Crowns are only expensive masks with better jewelry. The Duke wears a crown that does not fit, which is the universe's first hint. The Duchess whispers plans that sound clever until you notice the blood under the poetry. The fool knows more than he plays, which is the usual arrangement for fools who want to survive the interval and still have a job in the second half. Witches do not storm castles with banners. They move kingdoms in time the way other people move furniture, carefully, with a lot of muttering, and without asking permission from anyone wearing ermine. Time in Lanka is not a straight road. It is a stage with trapdoors. Tom John grows up backstage, learning lines and exits and how to bow as if the world were watching, because one day it will be. Verence waits in the wings of his own life, a man who understands that being king is mostly remembering who needs dinner, who needs a quiet word, and who needs to be stopped before they invent a new kind of disaster. The land of Lanka is not scenery. It is a character with a long memory, and it does not like unfinished stories. When the play becomes the thing, because of course it does, Shakespeare would have recognized the furniture immediately. The truth walks onto the stage where swords cannot hide it. Murder prefers the dark. Theatre prefers the light. Guess which one the witches choose. The audience gets a better ending than the murderers planned. The witches get to leave before anyone tries to thank them properly, because thanks are awkward and tea is waiting. At the end, Lanka gets the king it deserves, which is rarer than magic and more useful than prophecy. Granny nods once, which is high praise and possibly the only medal she will ever accept. Nanny has another drink and invents a verse that will embarrass half the valley later. Magrat believes, briefly, that the universe might be kind, and for once the universe does not immediately argue. If you are still awake, remember this, on the disc, the play is never just a play. 3 women on a windy moor can rewrite a kingdom without filing a single form, and destiny is often just stubbornness wearing a nicer cloak. That is how kingdoms stay upright on the disc, not by perfect kings, but by imperfect people who refuse to let the story end on the wrong line. There. Sleep well. Somewhere in Lanka, the hills are still listening, and the witches are already thinking about tea.